Welcome to the table, the podcast where we share real stories, struggles, and victories as we walk together in faith. This ends up being such a sweet episode, but I'm almost sure you're not going to make it through without a few tears shed, so be warned. Our special guest today shares a hard story from her past, full of many difficult circumstances that left her feeling like she may not recover. The sweetness of this conversation is that we're on the other side of that trial. We get to witness how the Lord worked through that gut-wrenching experience to bring beauty and joy again. There are lots of sensitive topics that we're mentioning today, so just be prepared that you may need to skip through some parts, especially if you're experiencing them now. On a lighter note, I hope you enjoy watching my kids be ninjas in the background and listening to the movie that was supposed to be entertaining them while I record. It is what it is. Okay, let's get into it. Come to the table and join us as we have this conversation with our guest, Kinsley Hoy.
Hey, Jenna.
Hey.
Hey, we're back today. We have another special guest, Kinsley. Welcome to the table.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you. I'm gonna introduce you a little bit, and Jenna's gonna introduce you a little bit because we both know you somewhat. In my introduction, I promise I'm getting around to it, but I'm gonna go about it a wild way. So hang in there with me. My mom is a nurse. She's been a nurse my whole entire life, and she's probably part of the reason that I became a nurse. But she has always worked at the same place, and I did actually go to college and finish and become a nurse, and I had the opportunity to go and work in the place where she's worked my whole life. And we didn't work together, but in very similar areas. And I had so many people that would come up to me and they'd be like, "You're Diane Holloway's daughter, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I am. Hi, I'm Catherine." And they're like, "Yeah, I know your best friend in college, their name, and I know your pet's name, and I know what you did last summer on this trip, and I know all of these really great things that my mom had talked to her friends about." And it was just it's so sweet. We still kind of work together. And so very often I'll meet someone new that I've never met before, but they know me like pretty well. And it's so fun for me to sit here because Kinsley, that is how I feel about you. I know of you. I think probably you and Justin grew up together a little bit and you knew him first. But I've gotten to know your mom through church, and I've gotten to hear all of the moments that she's so proud of, and how you're so good at the work that you do, and how much you love your patients, and how funny you are, and just all of these things that your sweet mama talks about when she's with us. And so I'm sitting here and I feel like I know you, but it's because I've gotten to hear about you from your mom. So, Jenna, how do you know Kinsley? Tell us how you met Kinsley.
Sweet Kinsley used to sit in my lap at church. Um, I was a teenager and she was a little tiny, and she used to sit in my lap at church. She was in one of the first vacation Bible school classes that I ever got to teach as a teenager and or a young adult. I don't know where you would put it, but she was in my class. I have pictures of that. I have watched her grow up. I've prayed for her salvation. I've prayed for her high school years. I've prayed for her college years. And though we haven't always been super close because we're on totally different ends of generations, I have watched her for years and prayed for her for years. And I love her. I couldn't recommend a young woman more than her.
I'm
Yeah,
about to
Kinsley.
cry.
Kinsley, I can vouch for that because when I pitched this idea to Jenna, she was like, "Oh yeah, yes, anything that she's a part of, I'm a part of." So we actually have a copy of that picture that, with the
Oh
right
my gosh.
permission, we may circulate through this through this episode. But Kinsley, I'll let you tell everybody who you are and like a little bit about yourself, what you do, and those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. My name is Kinsley. I'm 28 years old. Still live at home. This is my childhood bedroom. But I don't take that as like a bad thing. I love living at home. I'm actually about to get married, so I won't live at home for very much longer. But the more I think about it, the more sad I am to leave my childhood home. I think it's a bittersweet. Like, I'm so excited to start my new life, but at the same time, like, it's just a comfort to still have my parents, and they've become my best friends. So it's nice to know that I live with my two best friends right now. But I'm a sonographer, so I do ultrasound. I work at the hospital. Um, Other than that, I just like working out, going to church, and taking naps. I really don't do much fun things on the weekend. It's so bad. This weekend I was trying to like make plans, and I was like, I really just want to take a nap. So, but that's me, and that's my life.
Well, you're speaking our language because you're talking to two moms, and I would
Yeah.
just love to take a nap. It's one of my favorite things. Kidsley, thank you so much for saying yes to this. We're so excited to have this conversation. I've been looking forward to it. This will come to no surprise to everybody that listens to our podcast, but we have had to reschedule this multiple times for different things, and so it was not easy to get here. It took several minutes to get set up and ready to go, and so I'm just excited to see where this conversation goes. We start all of our guest episodes by asking three questions. So, Kinsley, question number one is about what you're feasting on, how you're feeding your spirit. So, tell us a little bit about how you are feasting, fueling your spirit with the word in worship. What does that look like for you right now?
I feel like I really feast with music. It's something that's pretty much been a part of my life since I was young. Um, but I think the older I've gotten, the more, especially like into my later 20s, worship music is pretty much the only music I listen to because it speaks to me more than just picking up my Bible. I can pick up my Bible and read. I can read my devotionals that people have given me or I've bought, but nothing ever speaks to me like worship does. Um, and also just starting my morning with worship before going into the hospital, I feel like really feeds me and gets me ready for my day. If I'm in a bad mood, Forrest Frank. Like, I literally can't be in a bad mood if I listen to his music. Or Daniel probably hates it because he loves his country music. But if I have the aux cord or the Bluetooth, I'm always playing worship music. But it's comforting because I think, honestly, that's how he feasts as well. He just doesn't realize it because that's not what he clicks like when he first gets in the car. But once
Mm-hmm.
I start playing worship music, he's right beside me worshiping too. And I think that's just, honestly, right now, like, that's what fuels me for my days. Um, when I'm in bad moods, when I'm in good moods, like, it doesn't matter, but I just like feel God's presence with me when I'm listening to that. And so, yeah, that's how I feel myself in general. So that's the only thing I can think of whenever you ask me that question.
Well, that's a perfect answer, and I cannot believe I'm about to say this on the podcast, but Instagram makes suggestions for like how to do better or whatever, and
Mm.
its recommendation for me this week was to figure out how to tie in Forrest Frank because
Oh
he's
my
going
gosh.
wild right now. Yeah, it was like you need to have the Forrest Frank song on your Instagram post or your reel. So it cracks me up that you said his name because how in the world could I have said that in there? Jenna, what do you like? Do you have that same relationship with music?
I think yes. I think most Christians, what you put in is what's going to come out. We're really seeing this more and more as we parent teenagers. What you put into your ears, your eyes, it's like that little song, Be careful, little eyes, what you see, be careful, little ears, what you hear, from when we were children. It really matters what you're putting inside, and that includes the music that you're listening to. It makes a difference in your life. And so I think there's something to that. I think you'll grow, and there will be seasons where music is, for my teenagers, music is everything. But there are seasons of life where the word is all you need too. So I think it's just it's good to have a balance. And I love that she quoted, put out Forrest Frank for us because that's just what's popular right now. And he's doing something that we haven't seen done before. And he's reaching people that we didn't think could be reached. And there's something important about that. And we need to remember, I'm talking to myself here. We need to remember that we have a witness just like he does.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really matters what you listen to. And I'm not really to the, this is not what the podcast is about, but I'm not really to the stage yet where my kids care. Like they're pumped to listen to worship music, or whatever I like force them to listen to. They love it. But I'm kind of like Jenna. It's like what I'm taking every opportunity I can to get some word in them, some Jesus in them, and so we're going to be listening to it 24/7. Like I love other kinds of music too, but right now we're in it. We're only um, bringing those kinds of things in. So okay, sorry, that was like a whole extra train, and my apologies. Kinsley, question number 2 is about where are you finding fellowship? You're fueling yourself with the word, with music, with his spirit. Where do you find fellowship right now?
So other than church, this I feel like this is going to be an odd answer, but I fellowship a lot at my work. I was blessed with my coworkers that all kind of have similar beliefs. And I feel like in the workplace, I've worked multiple places before, not doing ultrasound, but obviously other things in my past. And I've never really been able to like openly talk about God or my troubles or, hey, can you pray for me? Or, hey, I'm going to pray for you. Or, hey, let's turn some Jesus music on and lift the spirits in this room. Um, and so I feel like whenever I started my job, I have this like core group of girls at work, and we have a group message. And if there's, prayers needed or praises or, hey, listen to this new worship song I just listened to, like it's going to bless y'all. Or, the other day, one of our friends who doesn't even work with us anymore sent us something about, she was having a hard morning. It was a hard drop off at work or something, or at daycare or something like that. And her boss sent her a worship song and said, like, take your time getting to work. Like, and so like she shared that with us. And my lead sonographer, the person who's over me, she actually brought in this. She goes to First Baptist, and she had a sermon that she was just like, I just need y'all to listen to this. So we took like 20 minutes out of our workday and we listened to this sermon together, and it was about we work for God. We work for Jesus. And if we keep that mentality, then our attitudes will be good. I always, I'm not trying to say where I work, but I literally have a sticky note and I swear it says, I work for Jesus, not HCA. Because I have to remind myself of that daily because, you get frustrated and everything. But I don't think I'd be able to make it through my days if I wasn't able to talk about God with my coworkers or say, hey, I'm going through this. Can you pray for me? Or, it's been a blessing. And we've had a coworker to leave, the one that sent us that worship song that one day. And she went to another hospital. And yes, her boss is a Christian, but her coworkers don't talk about it. She can't be open about her Christianity and like as comfortable as she was with us. And we were all hanging out, and she was like, I just miss my Jesus girls. Like, I miss being in a workplace that I can like just talk freely. And she was like, I just feel so judged even if I say something like that to them. So I really feel like I found fellowship at work, which I feel like a lot of people can't really say.
I don't think that's a weird answer at all. I
Mm-mm.
think that's a blessing. I think that sounds like a community that God created for you in the place that you're in right now. So I think that's a great answer. And I'm glad that you have them too, because I don't know that I could say that about the group of people that I work with. I like them a lot, but I can't really imagine how my life might be different or my work life might be different if I was surrounded by people who believed in praying for each other and lifting each other up that way. So I don't think that's weird at all. I think that's so cool. Um, Okay, third question is about forgiveness. So this is something that recently you need forgiveness for, that you've had to ask the Lord to forgive you for. I know it's to people you don't know, but go ahead, tell us.
Yes, no, it's okay. And y'all probably laugh at me because I feel like it kind of ties into the last answer I gave y'all. I have had, and I just had this conversation with my lead 2 weeks ago. I was in a terrible, terrible mood. I don't know where my attitude came from. I don't know where my mood came from. Um, she asked me a question. I didn't even look at her. I just was staring at the computer and I was like, sure, whatever. And I was just feeding on a little bit of negativity, and then I took it and I boiled, and we were busy and we were short staffed, and you're asked to do all these random things that's not my job, but you're expected to do it. And I feel like my attitude, the words I've been using in the workplace at certain times when I do get under pressure or stress, it's just made me act not like myself. And when I left work that day, I got home and I was in a terrible mood. I'm pretty sure I cried in the parking lot before even leaving the hospital. And I skipped my workout class, and I FaceTimed Daniel, and I was just angry. Like, I was just mad. I want to quit. Can I be PRN? Like, please put me on your insurance. Let me quit. And I mean, it was just, I was just
Yeah.
done. And the next day I came in and I looked at my lead, who's like one of my best friends, and I just said, I just want to tell you that I'm sorry for the way I acted. And I came back down to earth, and I said, I really need to ask God for forgiveness for that, because that's not me. And I said, I need to stop feeding off of any negativity that's around me, and just, if I'm feeling that, pray, hey, God, can you get me out of this? Like, can you please just help me through this day? Because He will. And now when we're feeling the mood coming down, we literally click on YouTube and we put on our Jesus music. And I'm telling you, it works. It does. It really works. And so I just feel like lately that has definitely been something, because we've just been so overwhelmed, and I let that get the best of me sometimes, and my mood takes a toll.
Well, I can definitely relate to that. I think it's really hard to not
Yeah,
let your circumstances dictate the way that you think and feel and speak and act. So I think a lot of people probably can resonate with that. Jenna, I know that you've probably felt this way before. Tell us, um, I'm not in the way opposite generation of you, but tell us, what's your sage wisdom for these kinds of situations?
If I had the answer, then I'd have it all figured out because it's keeping focused on Jesus instead of self. It's so
Yeah.
easy to look at what's around you and the circumstances and how people are treating you, and how they're not doing the things that you expected of them, or it's so easy to look at other people and what's straight in front of you and around you rather than looking up, because this is just temporary. In the long run, that harsh word that was spoken, or that deed, that to-do list item that my child was supposed to do and they didn't do, and I got angry about it, it doesn't matter. What matters more is that they see Jesus in me, and that I am grace filled. We're going to have bad days. That's normal. But we need to have bad days with hope and joy, because our lives aren't based purely on circumstance. They're based on the Lord, and our hope rests in Him.
I do. I don't know if, am I allowed to talk again? Sorry.
All the time.
No, this just came up in my head too. It usually happens like this. A day that I'm having, I'm just done. I'm thinking in my head, how can I get out of this job? And I love my job. I love it. It's just the different situations. But those particular days, I'll be really annoyed. Oh my goodness, I've already scanned this woman before, and now I've got to go do another thing on her. This is annoying, whatever. And that particular day, I'm pretty sure it was this day, I went upstairs to scan a patient for the second or third time, just a different scan, and her husband was there, and they started talking about Jesus with me. And so I'm like, fellowshipping with them as I'm scanning. I think I was scanning her arm or something like that. And we were talking about mission work. And he asked me what church I went to. And so I told him, I was like, I grew up in a missionary Baptist church. I was like, not many people know what that is. And he said, I grew up in a missionary Baptist church. And like, so then we're just like going off of each other. And he ended up like giving me marriage advice and saying he was going to pray for me. And he gave me a pamphlet that had their picture on it. And I literally kept it in my locker because I was crying by the time I walked out of the room, because I was like, here I was angry about going back upstairs, and I got a blessing out of it. And so then I'll go back downstairs and I'll look at my friends and I'm like, so I actually just got a blessing out of this. And I know it's bad when I left, but I'm okay now. So it's just cool how God has a sense of humor, and he's like, oh, okay, you can be upset, but now what? How can you be upset now? I don't know. It just works. It works in mysterious ways. So it makes me happy though, because I'm like, okay, I do need to sit back and just let it be.
Yeah, he sees you. He
Mhm.
sees us where we are and gives us what we need in those moments. And I'm so grateful for that. Okay, Kinsley, thank you for sharing that with us and with everybody listening. We are at the end. You are rounding out our summer series on different lies that we believe or that the enemy uses to discourage us. And then what is the truth actually about those things? And today's lie is really about how our past can define our future. That's the lie, right? Like whatever has happened to me, whatever I've done, you could spin this so many different ways. My past is going to dictate my future, not Jesus. And we all know that that's not true. And we're going to talk about that. But I think a lot of people have probably been in situations, maybe in situations right now, where they think there's no way that this can turn around. There's no way that this situation that I'm in can get better. It's only going to get worse, and I just don't see how Jesus could use this for good and for my good. So you are the person that came to mind, just because I know a very little bit about your story this far, and you can share whatever you want to share. You don't have to share anything, but tell us tell us how this lie or the truth of this has impacted you in your life.
I feel like a lot of people who go to our churches or our specific church probably know a lot about me and know my story a little bit, maybe from the outside looking in. But I went through something that I never thought I would get out on the other side. Um, I'll try to make this probably as short as I possibly can. But when I went off to college, I had not really dated a lot of people. And I went off to college because I thought Ball State was not it for me. So I was like, I need to get away from this area. I need to kind of start over. Even though I went to college with all my high school friends, so I don't think there was much starting over. But I met this guy on the very first day of college. I kind of thought it was a joke at first. I was in class with one of my friends actually from church, and this guy asked if he was my boyfriend. And I looked, he's like my best friend since childhood. And I was like, him? No. I was like, we're best friends. And so that was like this guy's in with me. He was like, okay, she's single, whatever. And so, long story short, we ended up dating. We ended up dating all 4 years of college. I thought this man was the love of my life. And we had great times. And I don't want to say that, I didn't love him. I did love him. We had wonderful memories. But we also had a lot of issues. I was doing things that weren't right. I was living a life that wasn't very Christian of me, if you want to say. And we get to graduation from college, and he proposes. And here I am. I'm like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for 4 years. This is great. I obviously say yes. And I got an internship in Jacksonville, Florida for the job that I wanted. It was my dream job. They're hard to come by. And so I was like, I got to take this opportunity. I prayed for this. Like, look how many times I, submitted my application. This is the spot. This is where I'm going. And it was unpaid. And he didn't want me to go alone. And so he came with me. And if anyone knows Sherry, my mom, sorry, she was not really excited about that. But at the same time, she was like, well, I'm sending you 11 hours away from home. Y'all are engaged. Maybe he'll keep you safe. And so that was kind of like the way we talked ourselves into it. I was like, okay. While I was there, he was all I had. I had no one else really. I tried to find a church. I ended up becoming, I guess you could say, friends with a distant cousin of mine that lives there. I had never met him, never knew he existed, and he invited me to church. And so we were going to this church down there. I was, working this weird shift. He found a makeshift job, yada, yada, yada. I was like, oh, this is the perfect life. Like, I'm getting married. I, got the internship I wanted. I just thought it was great. And slowly but surely, he started changing completely. And I could tell that my job that I had at the children's hospital was changing my mindset completely. Like, I was 22, 23 years old, and I don't think I've ever really told anybody this, but I would cry in the shower. I would cry myself to sleep. I was seeing children go through the toughest days of their life at my job. And, I would see children pass away, and then I would come home, and the person that I was in love with and going to marry was going to these mandatory happy hours and getting drunk before coming home on like a Wednesday or a Tuesday. Like, it wasn't the life that I thought, oh, this is perfect. Oh, this is how it's going to be. It was like, this is not what I want. This is not how it's going to be. And so I kind of put up with it for a while, and I won't go into all the details, but he ended up lying to me about a lot of different things. And he went missing, I guess you could say. He went and told me he was doing something. And I caught him in this big lie, and I ended up moving out when he was gone. I took all my stuff, I called my coworkers, and I was gone by the time he came back. And he knew I was leaving, but he was intoxicated and probably didn't think I was being serious. And I was just like, this isn't the life that I want. This isn't what I planned for myself. I'm not dealing with cheating. I'm not dealing with drugs. I'm not dealing with alcohol, etc. That's not what I wanted for my future kids or anything, And so I left. Obviously, our relationship was a long one. So I was like, maybe we'll work it out. Maybe we'll talk. And we were taking a walk. We had gotten a puppy. And so I brought the puppy over for him to see, and we took a walk. And despite all the conversations we had had, this is the one that I will never forget, is he said something about not wanting to go to church, and he only goes because I drag him there. But he didn't want to go, and he doesn't want to go, like in the future. And I don't know if he meant it. I don't know if that was his last jab to fully in the, I don't know, because out of everything that he had ever done to me, that was what broke me completely, is that he had lied to me about even wanting to know anything about church. He didn't really grow up in church. So like his church experience mostly was with me. And so that was like the last thing, honestly, that we talked about. And I just was heartbroken. All of this happened during the first week of COVID. I tried to go back to school or to work. And the very first day I was at work in the ER, there was a mass casualty. There was a school bus wreck. And I had a nervous breakdown because I was dealing with so much emotion of my own. Like, I just ended an engagement. I moved out. I'm living in a coworker's spare bedroom that I've only known for a couple months. And then a mass casualty comes in. And I was like, how am I supposed to help these families and kids when I can't even like cope with my emotions on my own? So I ended up having to leave work, and I never went back, which is not like me. But I called my boss and I was like, I'm having a mental breakdown. I had to call my distant cousin that I had just met. I asked his wife if she could come pick me up from work. I couldn't drive. And I think the most embarrassing thing of all was like calling my parents and telling them, like, this is what's happening. I need help. And they couldn't get to me. And so they were like closing the borders of states, like not letting people travel. And so I didn't know what to do. I just kind of felt stuck. And then finally my sister came to get me. She lives in Georgia. She drove because I could not pull a U-Haul with my 2-door Honda Civic. And so she came to save me. And she took me home to her house, and I was there for like a week or two. And then my mom and dad finally could come get me and brought me home. And when I got home, it was like it was real at that point, that I was just like, I felt like my life was over, because I had worked 4 years in college for this internship to get me this job that I had worked so hard for. And then I had spent almost 5 years with the same man that I thought I was in love with, that I wanted to spend my life with. And now that's gone, and he's not even the person I knew anymore. And it felt like my life was over. And I had never felt pain like that before. I got so low, I wasn't eating. My mom would walk in to make sure I was in the shower, like, alive, because I got to the point where I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to do anything. It's a scary place to be. It's scary. And I'm not the type of person that would ever do anything to harm myself. But when someone breaks you to the point that I was at, it was to the point I was literally praying for God to just not wake me up in the morning. And so I think it was hard on me, obviously, but it was really hard on my parents to watch me go through this too. But slowly and surely, I got through it. I was anorexic during that time. I was living on Ensures. I think I was like 108 pounds. I'm now 135 pounds, if that puts it in perspective. Like, I feel okay now, but looking back at pictures, I was not okay. And I feel I also ran away, honestly, from church at that time too. Because every time I would step foot in a church door, especially the church I grew up in, people were checking on me. They knew me. And so, why are you home? Or, where's your fiance? And, all these different things. And so it was like a constant reminder. And so I either watched church online, or I would go to like the biggest church I could find in Nashville and get lost in the crowd and just cry. And I did that for a while. And I just kind of felt like, I honestly felt like I had made all these mistakes and I was being punished. That maybe like God was punishing me. And so that's maybe why I had all these things taken away so fast. And the reason I felt the way I felt, which obviously isn't true, but at the time I was just so broken. I was like, I'm being punished. But about a year after all this happened, my mom had laid therapy papers on my side table. She was like, I'm not going to force you to do anything, but these are here. And it took me a while. But I went to the Bab Center at First Baptist, and by the grace of God, I have been to a few therapists in my life, but I was placed with the sweetest lady. She's like my age. I don't know why I called her a lady. Sweetest girl. And she helped me, cope and talk through all these things. And, I talked about how, I think I want to cope with prayer and leaning on God. And like, it was so nice for a therapist to be open to talk about that too, which I feel like you only find at certain places. But, and slowly but surely, I got back into church. But I feel like after a while, it's like people have finally stopped asking, like, how are you doing? Like, they just let me be there. And thank goodness, because I was about to run back out the door if one more person asked me. But for something I never thought I would make it through, I tried everything. Dating apps. I can't think of it. I tried every dating app because I was just searching for some kind of love or to fill the void, honestly. And I feel like I was looking in places I shouldn't be looking, and I was giving people chances that I shouldn't have been giving chances to. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, there's nobody for me. I met the one person I loved, and he was a dud. Here we are. I'm never going to marry. I'm never going to find love again. Like, I'm just going to be lonely. And me and Jax, my dog, I was like, we'll just live our happy life. It's going to be fine. And I got to the point, because people, which is like one of the verses that I wrote down, people would always say, God will grant you the desires of your heart. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I have the desire to be a wife. I have this desire to be a mom. I have the desires to be loved and stuff like that. I'm like, well, clearly he's not going to give me this. Like, and I got to the point where I would pray in bed for God to take away the desires to want someone. God, please. I would cry. God, please take away the desire to be a wife. Please take away this desire for me to be a mom, which was like, it breaks my heart that I even got to that point. But I was just wanting it so bad. And I couldn't take the pain anymore. And then I just remember I stopped trying. I stopped trying, and I was patient. And I was like, if you send me someone, you send me someone. But if you don't, I'm here, and that's okay. And it's going to be fine. And literally when I least expected it, as soon as I gave up, as soon as I told him I was done and it was in his hands, he sent me the most perfect person. I thought it was a dream. Like, I literally thought it was fake. And the way he orchestrated it was beautiful. And I told someone, I was like, he was so shy when I met him. So, and y'all know I'm not shy, at all. And so I was like, I'm going to run him off. Like, something's going to happen. And I was just so scared I was going to ruin it. And I think it was like our 4th date or something like that. We went to church together, and I went to church with him. And I asked him, like, if he went regularly. And he was like, oh, yeah, I come by myself. And I was like, oh. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, my gosh, this man comes to church by himself. Like, what a sweet angel. And then we stood up to start. We started to worship, and I could hear him singing beside me. And he knew every word. And I literally started crying, which I hope he didn't see. Now I don't care. But I literally started tearing up, and I was like, this is it. This is the person that he was saving for me this whole time. And I don't have to question that he wants to go to church, that he loves Jesus, that he'll treat me with kindness and respect. And it's crazy. And, I don't wish my past away. I don't. Because it's made me strong, and it's made me the person that I am today. But it makes me and Daniel's relationship so much sweeter. I love him so much, and if I would have never known, like, I feel like anything that was done to me in the past, like, I'm sure I would still love him and, know that he's my person, but it just makes me so much more thankful for him, and the way he treats me, and the way one of our first conversations is, I said, I want someone who's going to lead me, like a godly man who's going to lead me. And he's quiet. So I kind of was like, oh, I don't know if this is him, but he has, he wants those things, and he shows that he wants those things. And it's crazy. It took all of that to get to this. But I feel like, if my story can help people realize that God has some plan for you. You don't know what that plan is. You don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to have heartbreak or speed bumps on the way to where he wants you. But there's a purpose for all of it. And yeah. It's been a long road, but we're on the other side now, and it's been a lot, but it's been amazing. I'm sorry that was so long.
Do not apologize. I would not have wanted you to leave anything out. Jenna, I'm going to let you respond first, because I have so many thoughts, but I'm going to let you
Great.
go first.
If I go first, I'll start crying.
You're welcome.
I have a million verses that come to mind because of her story. I can't hold it together because I've known her and I saw her from a distance. I had her mom texting me and asking prayer for her for many years, and I didn't know the depth. I just knew that there were struggles, and so in some ways it kind of breaks my heart that I wasn't there for her, but at the same time I see what God has done. And when we're talking about our past and things that we think define us or that hold us back, I think the Lord gives us a remembrance for a reason, and that I don't think he wants us to dwell on our past, but I think he gives us the ability to remember what happened in our past, because our past can honestly be a help or a hindrance. So it can either help us and grow us like it's done for her, but at times it hindered her and she thought there was no way out of this. So your past can help you. It can help you avoid running into that again and going down those same paths, but it also can hinder you in that it holds you back because you're stuck in it. And I see both sides of that in Kinsley's story. Your past can also be like a friend to you. It can be a comfort at times, but it also can be a foe. And I can see how Kinsley at times looks back after hearing her story. Like she looks back and sees the hardships, but now that she's on that other side, and the Lord has continued to bless and work. Her past is almost her friend now. It has helped her to appreciate what she has now. And I love that the Lord is merciful in our unrighteousness, like it says in Hebrews 8 and 12. And their sins and our iniquities he will remember no more. These are just parts of who we are. And we're going to go through hard things and hard seasons, but they are not our defining points. Who we are is who we are in Christ. And I know that that was really dark for Kinsley at times because she couldn't see that. She had put a lot of her worth and her value in someone else. And I'm so grateful now that she can see past that and see that the Lord was really on her side all along. And she a lot of times when we get in those hard, heavy, dark places, it's because we've lost our focus. Our first love has to be Jesus.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And Kinsley, I know this because I get to do the podcast, but there's a really big percentage of the people that listen to us that are in the same phase of life that you are in or younger. And something I've loved about having you and our other guests here to share their story is that you are a living testimony of how the Lord brought you through something really hard. And, I think that there's probably a lot of that of your past that you're on the other side of. And then as you walk through like these next few months of engagement and getting married, I think you're going to continue to see how the Lord is redeeming things that you don't even realize as you're walking this different path now. And I think that's important for people to remember that there are seasons. And there's lots of seasons in our life, but everything is a season. And like whatever the hard thing is that you're going through or I'm going through, even if I lose my focus, it's a season and he is faithful to bring us to the other side. So if for nothing else, just thank you for being an example of how faithful the Lord has been. And I can guess what it took. I know what it would take for me to sit here and share that kind of experience with a bunch of people that I don't know. And I just want to take this quick opportunity to thank you for being honest and being vulnerable and sharing this story because I hope it I hope it blesses you. And I hope it is like a gift that came from that really hard time. So thank you for sharing.
Of course.
There's so many other things that I could say. Like parts of your story that I'm tearing up listening to because I know what that feels like. And I haven't experienced the same things that you've experienced, but some of those feelings that you described, like praying that the Lord would remove the desire for the things that you wanted in that season. A lot of people feel that for a lot of different things. What is one scripture that was really meaningful to you during that season, or even now that you're through it?
Well, definitely Psalms 37:4, which delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Obviously, but then Psalms 37:7, be still and wait patiently for Him. I think those are two verses that I always went back to. Like I said, like I could pick up the Bible and read all day long, but those like key verses, it was stuff that people would send me. And at first I wouldn't even read it. Like I just wouldn't even read it. I would delete it. I would just open it and thank you. Just because I didn't want to hear it. But then I would open my Bible and like I said earlier, God works in His mysterious ways and then it would be there. Or I would open Pinterest or, Instagram or something and it would be there. And so I was like, oh, maybe it's something I need to read a little bit more into. You know, maybe this could actually help me.
Yeah.
And then also John 13:7, you don't understand now what I'm doing, but someday you will. Which I feel like is huge because I thought my life was over. I mean, over. And like I said, now that I'm on the other side, I wouldn't want it any other way. You know, if I would have met the person I'm with now earlier than I met him, I probably would have thought he was a little baby because he's a lot younger than me. So I probably would have not even thought twice about him. So it's like it was orchestrated in a way that it was just so apparent to me that, oh, this is what was waiting for me. Oh, this is why. And so, yeah, songs during this time were huge. My best friend, she's one of the worship leaders at Crosspoint, and she'll send me these songs, you know, but during that time I would always, she got a lot of tears, because she was with her person that she's married to now, and my other best friend was starting to date someone, and I was just there. And so I was always like, you know, Mariah, when is it going to be my turn? Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I go on these dates. These guys don't even want to go to church. They just want to go to bars. And I was like, and I don't want this. I don't know what to do. When is it going to be my turn to find a good person? And so she would just send me these songs. She would hear them, or she'd have to, you know, sing them at church. And she'd be like, I was singing this song and this is you. Like, you need to listen to the song. I remember her sister sent me Graves into Gardens when I think that was when I first came home. And she was like, I'm not even going to say anything. Just listen to this song because this is going to happen. He's going to turn graves into gardens. And you might not feel like it now, but he's going to. And, you know, that was probably one of the texts that I opened, and I didn't listen to the song for like 2 months, just because I couldn't do it. One that my friend Mariah sent me was Manasseh by Anna Golden. I don't know if y'all have ever listened to that song. It's a good one. I can't quote the lyrics right this second off the top of my head, but it's, now I have to pull it up, but another song, Always on Time, gets me every time. I mean, it's just truth. And when we're going through it, we don't see it.
Yeah.
But then when we get to the other side, we see that he's on time. We know why it took this journey to get to, you know, wherever you are. But it's just, it was a lot. But we made it. And God's the only way that I made it. I wouldn't have made it with anybody else. I had all the support in the world. I have great parents. I have great friends. But, I mean, to the point that I wouldn't have made it if God wasn't with me.
I mean, we could make 10 more podcast episodes about lots of those things that you just said. And I think some of them are things that we've been talking about, like sending someone the scripture even when you don't know what to say, or that song that makes you think of them, and you don't have to add anything to it, just send it to them. Ways that you can encourage people when they're going through hard seasons. Sometimes you have to wait to get through hard things. It doesn't just happen. Uh, there are so many lessons that I think that your story shares, and I just appreciate you sharing it and being another example of how the Lord works. Also, maybe you should just build us a playlist that we'll send out with this episode. I
have
feel
a
like you could put it.
Spotify.
Oh yeah, I feel like you could put it together.
It's called Jesus Jams. There's
Okay.
like 150 songs on there, and all of these songs are on there if you'd like to listen.
Oh, we're linking to that for sure. For sure. Okay, Kinsley, what else is in your notes that we haven't said yet?
Well, not really that much more. I really just wrote a lot about like the songs that I've listened to throughout like my experience. Those Bible verses obviously pretty much hit Everything.
Okay, Jenna.
I have a question. So if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to. But
We'll
for
edit it out.
yeah, for
Hit me with it.
for those of us, I'm just thinking back to that time when I knew you were struggling, and I'm thinking back to your mom asking me prayer for you. What did you actually need at that time? Like when you were going through a hard time, just like you were, like that was really deep and really hard. What did Now that you're on the other side of it, what did you need? What could people have done differently that would have helped you more? Or what could Christian friends have done to pour into you? Like, were there things that were actually helpful and things that just weren't?
One thing that wasn't helpful was people reaching out to me, asking if I was okay, or coming up to me at church and asking if I was okay. Because whenever I started actually coming back to like our churches, where people knew me, I was crying.
Yeah.
Every song, I was crying. Every prayer, I was probably crying. And so people would come and hug me, which I understand in our small churches. Like that's what we do, and they're family. And I was trying not to be mean, but at the time, I didn't want attention drawn to me, but I couldn't help but cry. But I was trying to hide it, and so that's why I honestly ran away for so long. I think the things that I needed were prayer, and I knew I had it. I felt it. Um, and I mean, I think that the prayer from people I didn't even know were praying for me. Um, I think that's what got me through, honestly. I mean, I've never been that low in my entire life. And I don't want to say I wouldn't be here today, but I don't know. Cause I got to points where I would be that's what I was saying, like my mom would check on me if I was taking a bath. Cause she was scared. She was scared. But I think the prayers, of people who didn't even know me. Sherry knows so many people. She knows so many people. And like, not to be funny, but it is funny. And these people I don't know at all were saying that they were praying for me. And so I think that prayer just wraps you in comfort, and you feel it. You might not know what it is at the time, but you feel it. And God, even though I felt very distant from God, because I was mad. And, like I said earlier, I thought I was being punished. I mean, I'm a saved individual, been in church my whole life, and he didn't leave me, even when I was running the opposite way, trying to get away from everything that I knew. He was there. And so, yeah, I think prayer is what I needed. And I hate to say, like, people coming up to me asking me for help is not what I needed, but it's definitely not what I needed. I hate attention, and I think I was embarrassed and mad and angry and all the things, and so that just brought more attention to me, and I just despised it. But I also felt like all the attention was on me all the time, because I was the girl. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I feel like I was the person that people screenshotted my picture, and they're like, oh, I wonder what happened to her, like sent to their group message, and they're like, I wonder what happened to Kinsley and that guy. Like, weren't they engaged? Like, what happened? And then I was just like the talk of the town. And, at first I made this big post because I was like, I'm tired of explaining it. I'm tired of telling everybody. Everyone's asking everybody. This is what happened. You can read it if you want to. And then I ended up deleting that because I was like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. People my age, I think, take things like this a little harder because everything is so public, and on Instagram or on Facebook or on, I don't even know any of the other things. TikTok. I don't have one, but I know it's big right now. So everything's like so out there. And so when things like this happen, like you try to hide it and you try not to be the talk of the town. But at the time, I mean, it was COVID. There was nothing else to talk about. So I felt like everyone was talking about me, even if they weren't,
Right.
Yeah.
even if they weren't. So yeah.
That was a great question, Jenna. Thank you for asking. I think, Kinsley, sometimes people like they just want to know the tea, and people in
Everywhere.
my life, people will come out of the woodwork if something is happening to me to like check in on me and ask me how I am and want to know the tea. But I think there's some wisdom in what you shared about prayer is probably the best thing. Like asking someone in public in front of lots of other people that they know to share this really traumatic thing that happened is probably the wrong right thing to do in that moment. So yeah, I think that's really helpful. I'm glad you asked, Jenna. Anything else that we haven't said that we need to
Mm.
say? Okay, Kinsley, you did it. I'm so grateful that you were here. Thank you for being here and sharing your
Sorry, I
story with
cried.
us.
I cry
You
every
are not
time.
the first. You won't be the last either. But I really mean it. I really hope that the Lord blesses you big time for saying yes to this. And I'm grateful and I'm excited for people to get to hear your story. So thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely. If it can help one person, that's all that matters. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to the table. We hope today's conversation encouraged you as you seek Jesus in the big moments and the little ones. Check out the show notes for any scripture, resources, or playlist, whatever we talked about today. Feel free to share this episode, leave a comment, ask a question, or share your thoughts with us. Come back next week and listen as Jenna and I dive into all the things we love from this episode. Until then, thanks for being here with us. If you haven't already, go follow us on socials to see all the things we share throughout the week. We'll see you next time.